Welcome back to the channel. We're here with another episode of our Java programming language tutorial course. Today we're going to be going over a new topic called of operators and expressions. So to do this, we're going to create another class. We can leave this hello world class. You can reference, just keep this so you can reference these different data types and our log statements and casting. But we're going to stay in this default package, new class. And we're going to call this one operators. And we want to check this public static void main because we want to have that main method auto-generated for us. And click finish. It'll create a new class for us. We can remove this auto-generated comment. So I'm going to write some comments here going over what we are going to go over in this episode. So I haven't mentioned it before, I can't remember if I have in the previous episodes, but comments in a code are lines that are ignored. So this is where you can write notes or instructions if you need to for yourself when you come back to review. And these are ignored by the code, by the compiler when the program runs. So these are not treated as lines of code. And so it's for you to add documentation. So to do that, it's 2 backslashes, and anything in that line is ignored. Or you can do what is called a block comment, which is a backslash and then a star, and then if you hit enter, um, depending on the editor you're in, it can auto finish that, so it did here. When I hit enter after doing 1 backslash and star, created another line with a star and then a star backslash. That's how you end it. So we can actually remove that second star on this line. Anything in between these two are going to be counted as comments. No matter how many lines it spans, this is the beginning of the comment and this is the end of the comment. So those are the 2 ways you can comment in Java. But for this, we really just need 1 or 2 lines. So we have operators and expressions. So what are operators? Just like in math, operators are used to perform operations or manipulate data. And expressions are combinations of these operators and variables and literals. So this is very geared towards mainly arithmetic, so math operations, but there are some other um, relational and logical operators that we'll go over that are used in programming. There's also something called bitwise operators, which we're not going to cover just because I don't feel that they're necessary for a beginner programmer for sure. I know in the 2+ years I've been a software engineer, I've never had to use bitwise operators, so I don't feel it's necessary to cover in a basics course, but that is another type of operator in Java. So first we're going to cover the basic arithmetic operators in Java. So let's remove that. Arithmetic operators. So you have, I'm going to do this in a comment and then we'll show some examples of this. But you have the plus sign, the minus sign, the star represents multiplication, you have backslash represents division, then you have the percent sign, which represents something called modulo, which is a type of remainder division, if you haven't covered that in any of your math courses you may have taken. So these are the type of basic arithmetic math operators that work the same way in a Java program. So we can go over some of those really quickly. So let's instantiate 2 integers. num1 equals 10, int num2 equals 5. Okay, and so we'll do a system.out.print. And then let's do this. Let's do int sum. So we'll get the sum of number 1 and 2. So it's just num1 plus num2. So this is gonna treat the plus sign as the arithmetic operator plus. In the last episode, we did cover the string concatenation operation that also uses this plus sign, which is used to add two strings together. In this case, since both of these objects are integers, it's going to be treated as just a regular plus sign, and it's going to add these two numbers together. So we'll go ahead and just print this sum and run it, and we see 15. So 10 plus 5 is 15, adding the two numbers just as you'd expect. So let's have another one. Int sum2, and this time we're going to subtract, so num1 minus num2. Alright, so let's actually get another system.outline, and let's actually add some more information in these outputs. So we'll do sum of num1 plus num2 equals sum. Copy that, paste it here, and then the sum of num1 minus num2 equals sum2. And we'll go ahead and write the rest of these out. So int sum3 equals num1 times num2. Int sum, this would be product actually of multiplication. So prod, and then is it product? Is that also what it's called for division? I don't actually know. So we'll just name it prod2, and num1 divided by num2, and then we'll do rem for remainder is num1 modulo num2. So this line, we're going to multiply these two numbers. This line will divide them, and this line is a modulus, which is the remainder. So what's left after you divide into the top number as many times as possible. And so I can also change these numbers, and we'll show what that would happen. In this case, this should give 0 because 5 fits into 10 exactly 2 times. For now, let's get some more print statements out. Product of num1 times num2 divided by and then remainder of modulus equals. And so we'll run it. Oh, and I actually didn't change these. So this is prod2, and this is remainder. So sum of 10 plus 5 is 15. Sum of 10 minus 5 is 5. Product of 10 times 5 is 50. Product of 10 divided by 5 equals 2. And remainder of 10 modulus 5 equals 0. So let's get another number here, int num3 equals 3. Let's do remainder of num1 modulus num3. So 3 fits into 10 3 times, but with a remainder of 1. So this should return 1 now. Oh, I didn't change it here. Num3 equals to 1. So those are your basic arithmetic operators that are by default in Java, and you can use them just like any math equation. Now, it does follow PEMDAS slash BOMDAS, parentheses, exponent, multiplication, division, add, subtraction. So just keep that in mind. Now, we have something else in programming called relational and logical operators. What are these? So, relational and logical operators are mainly used when comparing things together or trying to find out if a statement is true or false. So, the operators that we have access to in Java is the greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. We have double equal sign, which means equals to. So here, one singular equal sign is an assignment. So we're assigning this variable with this as the value. We're assigning that. So one equals operator does not actually mean it's going to see if these two things are equal. It's assigning these two things. Or it's assigning this value. And then to actually check if two things are the same, you use two equal signs together. And then we also have an exclamation mark equal, and this is not equal to. So if you want to check if two things are not equal, is you put this exclamation mark in front of an equal sign. So these are your relational operators. Then our logic operators are and, or, and not. So if you want to check if two separate things are true, then you would use two ampersands like that. If you want to see if one or the other thing is true, you would use the or symbol, which is the two vertical lines called pipe operators. And you use two of those right one after the other. And then we also have just the exclamation mark, which means not. So this means the opposite of something. So we'll go over a couple of examples on how to use these. And so what these return is a Boolean, meaning these statements return either true or false after they run their operations. So let's do Boolean bool1, and we'll just do num1 greater than num2. We'll do another system.out.println is num1 greater than 2, and then bool1. So if we run this, let me add a space there so it's more readable, is 10 greater than 5, and that returns true. So remember, a Boolean value can only hold true or false, and these logical operators will only return true or false. So we can check this with the rest of these. So bool2, is it less than? Boolean3, is it greater than or equal to? Boolean4, is it less than or equal to? Boolean5, are they the same? And in some of these, I'm actually going to change and not use these variables. I'm just going to use the actual number. And boolean 6, is it not equal to? So here, we can leave these the same. Greater than or equal to, we'll leave the same. Less than or equal to. So check if they're equal to is fine. Not equal to. Actually, we'll leave it with these numbers using num1 and num2. It makes it easier actually for the print statements. So less than, greater than, or equal, less than, or equal to, equal to, and then equal to, and not equal to. The last one was an extra, and we'll go through and change all these booleans to the next one in the sequence. So if I run this now, is 10 greater than 5? True. Yes. Is 10 less than 5? No. So we get false. Fix some of these spacings. Is 10 greater than or equal to 5? True. Is 10 less than or equal to 5? False. Is 10 equal to 5? False. Is 10 not equal to 5? True. So these are running just as a normal arithmetic check, logical check would do. This is how you do that in Java. And the last thing, really quick, we're going to cover is assignment and compound assignment. So we've mentioned assignment before with this one equal sign is assigning a value to a variable. So that's what we're doing here. We're instantiating the variable. It's an integer with the name prod2, and we're assigning it using the equal sign to this value of whatever this arithmetic expression results in. So compound assignment is when you want to do something to a value that includes that value in the operation. So let's say we wanted to take number 1, our num1 value, which is 10, and we wanted to add something to it. There's a shorter way to write that, a shorter way to write these. So we'll edit that here. This is a good example. So since we want to know the new sum of this, let's say we wanted to add number 2 to number 1, but we wanted to store that value as the new number 1. What you would do here is say num1 plus equals num2. Now what this does is, actually let me copy this and do it lower. And then I will revert this back. Let me come down here and do this down here. So num1 plus equals num2. And now if we print num1, we should see that num1 now equals 15. So what this is doing is it's saying take what's currently in our num1 variable and add it to num2 and then reassign that to the num1 variable. It's a shorter way of writing it. Instead of writing num1 equals num1 plus num2, just num1 plus equals num2. So if we run this, we see 15. We can do the same thing with the other ones. We can do num1 minus equals num2. So now this will take num1, subtract num2 from it, reassign that to the variable num1. So we should get 5 printed. And we see 5 printed down below. So we'll quickly do that Same thing with all the other ones. Multiplication, we get 50 in this num1 variable. Divide it, we'll get 2 in the num1 variable. And even modulo, we should get 0 in num1 variable. So it's a more shorthanded way of writing a simple arithmetic equation that involves reassigning the sum or product of that operation to one of the variables used in that operation. Now, another thing I do want to go over are these three symbols here. This one, not as much, because I've already mentioned it. It means not. It means the reverse of something. So if you put it in front of the equal sign, it means it's checking if it's not equal to. If we come down here and we'll create another Boolean, Boolean1 equals, and so this is where we can use this. So if we do true and true, and then we print, not num1, writing that one too much, Boolean1, and I have a typo over here. So true, or sorry, true and false. So this will return true or false because this is a logical operator, which requires both sides to be true for it to return true. So since one of these sides is false, this will return false. And we see down here, it's returned false. But if we turn this into true and true, both sides are true, it will return true. Now the other one is the logical OR, and then we turn this back to false. And what this does is it requires only one side to be true. So since the left side is true and the right side is false, this is going to return true because at least one thing is true. So we check it's true. But if we do false or false, it's going to return false here. Now, the other one, which we'll quickly show, is that not operator, the exclamation mark. So if we do not true, then this is going to return the opposite, which is false. So we see false here because we want not true. If we do not false, it's going to return true because we were getting the opposite of it. All right, so that is all we're going to cover in this episode. And these are the arithmetic and logical operators that come with Java that you can use for mainly math equations here and then logic equations here. And the one that you will probably use most of the time are these logical operators, checking if something is true or checking if something has a value. You're going to be checking these true or false values a lot in programming. So get really well versed in really how to use these and also your greater than, less than, equal to values. Now, after this, now this is the first episode where we're really kind of getting into some information where you can start using these in very small programs. I have this file here called exercises.java, and you can take a screenshot of this or you can write this down. I'll leave this up for the rest of the video while I'm talking. Here's 3 challenges you can do. Try yourself in your editor to complete a program that does these. These are very simple programs, only using what we've described so far in the course. Mainly, these are all going to be around the operators that we just learned about, but you're also going to have to assign variables and instantiate variables that we discussed in the other episodes. So the first challenge is write a Java program that calculates the area of a rectangle. So declare 2 variables, one called length, one called width, assign them with any value you want to, and then use those variables in an expression and print the area of the rectangle using the formula. So you want to multiply the length times the width. You want to assign that to a new variable and just print it to make sure that you're getting the expected value. Second challenge is relational and logical. So write a Java program that checks if a given number is odd or even. Declare a variable number and assign it a value, and then use relational and logical operators to determine and print whether the number is odd or even. So you just need one number. Pick any number. Obviously, you'll know if it's odd or even, so you'll know if your code's working right. Do a check to see if it's odd or even. I'm not going to tell you how to do that because that's part of the program. Part of the challenge is also figuring out how to do that within the code, how to check if a number is odd or even, and then print that result. Uh, a hint here is what you print is you want to print the result of your check. So it's going to print either true or false. And so depending on if that number is even, you want your program printing true. If that number is false, or if that number is odd, you want your program printing odd. And the last one is going over that compound assignment that we went over. So in this challenge, write a small program that simulates a simple bank account. Declare a variable balance and set it with whatever initial balance you want, and not using any other variables. Add, withdraw, and add. So add 100 to it in one line, then withdraw 50 to it, withdraw 50 from it in another line, and the next line add 200 more and print that variable at the end of it and make sure you get whatever result you would expect from it. It should be 250 more than whatever the initial balance was after you've gone through these three uh, arithmetic assignments. And do this using the compound assignment we went over in this episode. So this right here. But that's going to be it for this episode. Try these challenges before the next episode. And if you have issues with this or if your IDE is not working as you expect, leave a comment down below. I'll do my best to try and help you out. But these are just some very basic challenges for you to work on the topics we've already covered before we move on to the next one. So, as always, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like and comment down below, and subscribe if you want to continue getting uh, notifications for these videos.